Hello, everyone. This is Bill Race. We're setting up our stream here, so you saw the radar before we were actually punched in with our audio source. So I am going to stay with you here for a little while, and we'll watch what's happening here. They've had, I know, at least one tornado up north of Nashville, but the good news is, well, there's a couple things first. Let me go through this first. We've had a few showers, probably a couple thunderstorms develop out ahead of the main line. That isn't very unusual at all, but not creating any warnings. But we're going to watch that. We're going to want to watch that area that's moving through the plateau. But that is still not the primary concern. The primary concern is still pretty far out there to the west. And we have, looks like we do have a tornado warning down here in North Alabama, but it's farther to the west from what our viewing area is. But if we click on that, we may be able to see what that does. And for whatever reason, it is not showing me what the detail on that is. I'm going to double check here. So yeah, that's a tornado warning for Lauderdale County, and that's in effect until 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. That's in that red polygon there. I point that out because there are not very many warnings with this at this time. It seems to have weakened, certainly, because we had numerous warnings. But that does not mean that it may not continue or reform into some stronger storms again as it gets in here. It still has a ways to go. We have many warnings. These are severe thunderstorm warnings out in Mississippi. And there we have how things are set up right now. So let me just back this off of a little bit here, and we'll get started here just to be sure that we got everything. Sorry about that. It was failing to move for me. But what I wanted to show you here was this particular storm here. There's the tornado warning for, as I just had up there, for Lauderdale County. And then we're just kind of watching here. We're going to be watching how this continues to develop. Again, the lack of warnings at this time is never a bad thing. Until you go back into Mississippi there. But that's a little different situation. And we still have some, I would call them scattered thunderstorms moving through Sequatchie County, Bledsoe, catching some of that, Grundy County, and also northern Marion County. But again, there's no warnings associated with that. And I am going to, there'll be some pauses from me here because I'm also, I want to get your feed up here, the feed up so I can see your comments. And so we have that to try to get done. And again, nothing really pending at this point, as far as things getting active. But I am here, and I'm hopeful. Let me just do this, if you don't mind. I'm seeing your comments now, friends. The one thing I wanted to make sure of was that you could hear me okay. If someone could comment on that, that would be that's always helpful to me, because I I want to be sure that everything is working properly. And so that's one thing that you could help me with real quick in your comment. And I know, and then I'll get like a dozen people come in and say, yeah, I hear you. Like there's a warning out here, but this is still pretty far away from us. That's north of that tornado warning, and it is in Tennessee. Severe thunderstorm warning in Lawrenceburg, near there. Right in here, there's the polygon. It's kind of buried within the radar echoes right now. Here is those scattered storms I was telling you about. I'm going to stop this for a moment. So it's not looping. After it loops a certain amount of times, it starts to get me a little bit, as my mother would say, dippy. Okay, thank you for letting me know about the audio. And so we are definitely on track here to be able to cover this for you. And, you know, this isn't going to necessarily be like, you know, just a constant, emergency situation or anything like that, because we still got time for this main line of storms to come through here. And, you know, it's just past 7:30, about 7:37 Eastern time. And if we look at this, these storms are moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So if you we can kind of time that out maybe a little bit. 45 miles per hour isn't going to really take us in too much into our viewing area, but it does slightly anyway, just into Franklin County at the very tail end of that. That's about an hour from now, see. And so I would say in Chattanooga, still looking at around 9:30 for an arrival time. We'll continue to track that as well for you. So we have showers, few thunderstorms still there. And the thing that I'm going to be watchful of here, first of all, I'm going to be watchful of these storms that have been developing out ahead of the main line, make sure they're not getting any more strength, that kind of thing that could surprise us out ahead of the main line. I don't want to forget about that. Let's see here. What I'm talking about is this area right here. This is the main line out there to the west. There's some video I think is posting to our page perhaps of a tornado that was seen and videoed north of Nashville, is what we're understanding. But it's not like we're having widespread tornado outbreak by any means. Not at this point in time. We're going to slow this down a little bit. And I think what I want to do is also, I'm talking to you and myself, trying to figure out the best way to get all this done. I think I'd take the satellite, the clouds off of here and just have the rain. So again, out here to the west is what we're waiting on to come in here as we go through the evening. Also, we have these just these scattered showers that have been produced out ahead of the front, but nothing that's really causing us any problems at this point. Still seems like we're going to be waiting for the main line of storms to, and we'll see how much strength they have left when they get here. So while we're kind of in this holding pattern a little bit, we're just kind of, I'm going to continue to take care of a little housekeeping here. So if I go to All right. Things still, pretty quiet around here. Came on a little early because I was seeing those storms develop out ahead of the main line, and it kind of got me a little concerned that that could strengthen some. So I wanted to get on here with you just to make sure. I got a squeaky chair. And I see down in Mississippi, it's a little more active, and that line of storms that extends from northern Alabama back into Mississippi, that seems to be an area that is being more prone to some of the warnings right now, and also up there, that one in Middle Tennessee as well. I'm watching the lightning strikes. That's the white strikes you see, the white images within the storms. And just by eyeballing, it looks like there's fewer strikes, but where the isolated cells are, they're still very active with some lightning. But we still got a little ways to go here, friends. I mean, this is gonna take a little while before it reaches parts of our area. And it looks like, let's see, you see something flashing there that is probably a new warning. That is what it is, and it's right along I-65 there. I'll show you what I'm watching. I don't mean to be absolutely not ignoring what you guys are probably asking. I'm just trying to be sure I've got everything set up correctly. I see a lot of I'm looking at some comments. There's a lot of folks asking about timing for their town and that kind of thing. And, I can kind of give you just some general time frames because it's very difficult to come up with each town. But, like along the plateau here, I would suspect that this area of, showers and storms would be about an hour away. And then through the middle part of the viewing area, including Chattanooga, I'd say about an hour 15, about hour and a half, maybe, something like that. And then as it continues, it will start arriving in the eastern counties and, kind of getting into Murphy, which is our easternmost, Cherokee County being our easternmost county. I would say probably could be 10 o'clock or so. So that is, just kind of looking at that. I'll tell you what, we'll look at future track. That helps instead of me sitting here trying to talk my way through it. We can get a much better idea with this. Okay, so this is our rapid refresh model. You may have heard us talk about it before. And this is projecting out, let's see if we can bring this back a little bit. So this is 8 p.m. and looks pretty much like what we're seeing, that's pretty close. So I'd say the data is right. And as we move along here, let's just see how it goes. Here's 9 p.m. again, out ahead of the main line, a few more of these storms for our viewing area, but still waiting on the main line. And then here's where this is like 10 o'clock. So that would obviously be a little bit later, at least I think this would be between 9 and 10, that it starts to get into the plateau. We'll move along here, and 10 o'clock, still doing that. 11 o'clock, certainly getting into the plateau and then making its way into the valley. And by between 11 and midnight, it seems like a lot of our area is seeing some showers and storms as it kind of overwhelms a lot of us with the steadier rain. And so there'll be some heavy rain with this. But I will say that it is not as well defined of a line of storms with that as we're seeing here. Then by the time we get to about 2 a.m., things are weakening. But still, we'll have some showers pretty much all night. And as we continue to move along here, you see it's really not completely out of here anytime quickly. But by the time we get to 3, 4, 5, then our eastern sections start to get relieved from any of the severe threat, and then we're just in some rain for a while. So I hope that helps. We'll go back to that. I have other models to show you. You need models, I got models. Weather models, that is. So here we have 10 o'clock and kind of showing the same situation, really. There's a little better defined line there. As you head towards midnight, it's coming already through Chattanooga after being there between about, let's just see, it looked like between about 10 and midnight for the middle of our viewing area, and then early morning hours moving out of the eastern counties, could be 3, 4 in the morning. Then we are left with just some light rain, and then it becomes very windy, and our temperatures tomorrow are going to be falling. We still could have some rain, though, even up till noontime, and the eastern section's a little bit more than that. There was some thought that we might see some changeover in precip, but it looks like it's going to move out well before we can get cold enough. So I'm not really thinking that's going to be a factor. All right, we'll go back to our current situation here. Oh, thank you. Our director brought me new batteries, just in case, he says. But that's what helps us get through all this stuff. Now, we're back on radar here. And, nothing really very dramatic going on at this point in our viewing area. It's still mostly to the west and continuing its east-northeast progress. The polygons you see are severe thunderstorm warnings. There's one tornado warning still embedded within those polygons in Alabama, almost on the Tennessee line. But still, it's just crossing over and through Nashville now. They're just about getting through the southern parts of Nashville and eastern parts, still in some of these showers and storms. But it looks like the worst is through them. And then we just kind of wait here for what's coming our way. There's always a risk of tornadoes. I'm just looking at a few comments here. If anybody asks me, could there be a tornado and we have severe thunderstorm warnings, there's always a chance of a tornado. And a lot of people asking if it's going to weaken some. It will. I mean, I think it will, but that doesn't mean that we still aren't going to have quite a bit of heavy rain. I think this area is going to expand a little more just from what we saw on StormTrack there. And we still got quite a few warnings that are now popping back up a little bit in Middle Tennessee, south of Columbia, north of Huntsville. And so, right now, I would not consider this as being a weakening weather system at this point. I know it's always a stressful time when these things are happening and about to, and are approaching. I don't think that it's anything to be, afraid of, say. I mean, obviously, there's always some danger with these things, and that's why we have you alert. But, this isn't just the perfect storm, so to speak, or, it's not like we're going to have a big tornado outbreak with this, but we will have some strong winds, lightning, and the heavy rain. So, that typically will happen, and the winds could be strong enough to create severe thunderstorm warnings and maybe even a little hail. So that kind of thing can certainly get your attention. And I understand. But I say this a lot. I worked some in a weather service office in St. Louis when I was in college, and they used to have public service announcements, so to speak, as thunderstorm, or it was actually in their warnings, the script of their warnings, and it always said, be cautious, but don't be afraid. Thunderstorms are usually of short duration. And I know that doesn't always prove to be the case, but, for the most part, that's true. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be very alert and very conscious of what's, obviously headed our way here. And that is some strong thunderstorms, some heavy rain, and, it's going to take a little more time. We're getting closer to some of our western counties now as the area of rain starts to get closer to Franklin County and Grundy and Van Buren and Jackson County. Not so much Jackson County, but at least not super close there. But we're just here to hang out with you, you know? That's what we're doing. It's a good question about the tornado watch that's in effect for, and the watch means not that there's a tornado now. It means that there's a possibility of severe thunderstorms, including tornadoes. The conditions are favorable. And that's for Van Buren, the counties I just mentioned, Van Buren, Grundy, and Franklin. And whether or not that will be pushed eastward and whether the Storm Prediction Center wants to make it farther east as it gets closer is going to be an important part of things, because then we'll kind of know what they're thinking. I'm going to look real quick here and see what kind of things they're talking about here. I'm glad you asked that question now. Right now, what I'm seeing is, now this was as of, this is a little bit of time ago. This is like 7 o'clock. It's almost an hour ago. But the Storm Prediction Center was thinking more or less that this wouldn't be a watch that necessarily was extended. But we have some newer ones here, so let's take a look at that. They do, in the last 15 minutes, have indicated that from about, it looks like east of Crossville, from about Knoxville to Chattanooga to Gunnersville in Alabama, that there could be an extension of the watch. So that's something that I'm just seeing that they're discussing right now. And if they were going to issue a watch, I would say that, you know, that might not be too long in coming if they're going to do that. Because you don't want to put a watch out, 30 minutes before the warnings start. So it would be interesting to me to see how that's going to work out as far as how they issue those. Let's see here. I wanted to look and see middle. So coming up here, that tornado watch, let's see what time that's up until. And let's see, watches. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll just show you the watches here on this map. This is watches and warnings. That's where the watches are. And we can click on here to find out that it's in effect until midnight Eastern Time, 11 o'clock Central. So we still got plenty of time for that watch. And then, I would think, just having seen Storm Prediction Center, how they work, that if we're going to see an extension of the watch, I would say we would see that within the next 30 to 45 minutes. Because the whole point of the watch is to give you some time to, hear about it and kind of digest that before these storms get here. That's the whole point of the watch. So I don't think they're going to wait if they feel like it's needed, I think that will be issued before too terribly much longer. But there is where the watch currently is in effect. But remember, a watch means conditions are favorable for severe weather, including the possibility of a tornado in a tornado watch. I kind of was looking to see what else I might be able to show you as far as, oh, here's a little something too that happened during the day today, is that our slight risk moved eastward. And so when we started to see that, we were more convinced than ever that it was good to put us into the weather alert status for tonight. Even though there's some areas east that are just marginal and slight, that's level 1 and level 2. This time of year is certainly not peak severe weather season for thunderstorms. And so, and also, it was pretty obvious that the instability was enough that, and it has at least produced a couple, or at least a tornado that I know of, that I actually saw the video of, and that was north of Nashville in the last few hours. So I just wanted to mention that. Now, here's an update that just came in. Interestingly enough, if you might have seen it more than I did, or faster than I did. That now puts a slight risk through just about this covers the entire viewing area now. The marginal risk is farther east. What that tells me is they're not expecting as much, too much weakening as it comes in. The Storm Prediction Center puts those out. So that was interesting timing there, as we now have in this area here our slight risk, which is level 2. Level 1 is pretty much just about off the board here. So level 2 out of 5 is what we're really looking at this point as far as the peak. No enhanced, no moderate. The threats: heavy rain, strong winds, lightning, and all of us, area-wide, is where the threat does occur through tonight. So I'm glad we went to that and saw that update. Now, when they update that, when they're updating the risk factors, it would seem to me they're also probably thinking about what else they want to do about watches. So what I'm going to do is even though it takes up a good bit of the screen, but we don't really have anything that's causing any warnings in our area now. So we're going to keep the watches up here. And it's kind of a stark color, I understand that, but we may see an update on that coming in. And so then we'll be the first to know. Paul, that's very nice of you. I appreciate all of you just being patient with me here. I mean, it's not like I have a whole lot of updates as we go, although that update of the slight risk was good to see, as far as important to see is what I mean. Not good to see necessarily. Maybe that was a wrong choice of words, but it was important, I think, that the Storm Prediction Center, as they're watching this, that would tell me they're not expecting this to weaken too much as it moves from west to east. And it's a pretty strong cluster of storms going through here, through Middle Tennessee. You see some red in there. I want to remind you that this is what we call reflectivity of the radar, and does not mean that what it means is the intensity of the rain, or the amount of rain that is falling, not whether or not there's a tornado involved. Just because it's red, that just means it's the heaviest rain. But sometimes the rain echoes can give you a clue. I'm still not really too pleased with my speed of this. Let's slow it down a little more. The rain area is starting to get closer again. This is the first part of it, the light rain area. Just about Franklin County now. So this will be coming into the plateau between now and 9 o'clock, I'd say. At least some of the rain showers. What we can also do, let's see what the speed this particular storm is to give us an idea. So this particular storm was, this warning had a cell that was moving east at 55 miles per hour. So that's pretty speedy. Let's see here. Move that off the screen. And I'm going to just expand this out a little bit. I'm going to take the watches off for a moment. And we'll do a little time estimation. So from about here, and then we move east at about 55. If everything was moving that way, and really the cells also are moving to the northeast, a lot of them. But you do see that, for instance, up on our list here. Now that Athens is in Alabama. Nothing really showing up as far as that line of storms. I mean, it does barely get in here at like 9:03 in some of our western counties. So, you know, it looks like it's going to be a little bit later coming into Chattanooga. It might be 10 o'clock before it gets here in Chattanooga, and along the plateau between 9 and 10. Then Chattanooga 10 to 11 or 10 to midnight, something along those lines. Vicki will be, I'll be saying a prayer for your brother and sister-in-law. And if you hear from them, you could update us on that, because we would be concerned for you, of course, and your family. And I'm thinking you're probably talking about in the Nashville vicinity, but that's just me kind of assuming stuff. Vanessa, I'm ready for the storms to go away. I just don't have the ability to do that. That's unfortunate. You know, it's just as a side note, this is the kind of situation, you know, it's, yes, we do have have had quite a few warnings with this back into Middle Tennessee, down into Alabama, Mississippi. And, you know, it's not a big outbreak of tornadoes, but the thing that I have concern of is sometimes I'll see that and I'll kind of, you know, maybe think, well, maybe it won't be so bad. You know, it may just weaken and not be such a big deal. And I'm not saying it's going to be a big deal, but what I'm, you know, any warning of any kind is dangerous. You know, whether it's severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, flash flood warning, all of that. So what I was just thinking is, I don't want to become complacent about this line of storms, and I'm not going to be. But if it sounds like that, I'm, you know, emphasizing more of a poor, let's say, poor weather than may actually occur. I just don't trust it. And there's no reason to trust it. I mean, it's obviously it's causing warnings up and down the line. So I mean, you know, I think we're in the proper mode of expectation here. Another thing to keep in mind, I call this the David Glenn rule. Now, this may not truly be the David Glenn rule. And if David Glenn is watching the live stream, he might let me know. But out ahead of the main line, some showers and a few thunderstorms. They're kind of scattered, but they still are developing. And they don't really grow in size very much. These right here, where I'm putting the arrow over. That is moving northeast, and then there's some more coming out of the southwest, out ahead of the main line. Now, we have to watch those too. Sometimes they can get strong, especially back here in Alabama on that track that we're so familiar with. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We're keeping an eye on the area to the west. Many warnings. That's what all these polygons are. These are all severe thunderstorm warnings. I don't see any more tornado warnings at this point. Plenty happy to report that. Well, yes, it's coming to Chattanooga. It's going to impact all of the area. All of our area will have showers and storms, at least for a period of time tonight. Again, not the most common time of the year to be having lines of thunderstorms coming through, but it is also a time that you can have some intense storm systems, and as a result, you end up with some of these lines of storms in the what's slightly warmer air. I mean, the highs today were above normal in the lower 60s, with the average high, I think, still 54, 55. And so you do have some warmer air. We didn't really have any sunshine today, so that may, have kept the intensities down a little bit as it comes through. We'll see. But right now, it's intense enough for me out there to the west. I'll center this up a little bit for you. So I'm going to take a little longer view here. You can kind of get a better idea of how it lines up. And there's one other thing I want to change here that might help us pick up a little bit more of the intensities. This is just a little different version of the radar. You see that line goes, oh, it's a long line of storms, Let's just back off of this and see. I mean, it extends from the Great Lakes through the Ohio Valley, through the Tennessee Valley, and then down into the lower Mississippi Valley. I mean, that is a long stretch of storms. Now, some of these areas don't have warnings, but a lot of them do. Behind it, there's some snowfall. That's the upper level low, it looks like. And you can kind of see it spinning around there in Minnesota, Wisconsin. And sometimes we watch for that and some energies that come from behind these fronts in the wintertime. And then you can see a little changeover to some wintry precip. It doesn't look very likely in this case. I mean, it doesn't look likely at all. But I don't really even mention it in the forecast. Let me just get back here into our proximity. There's a lot of warnings out there to our west, and the showers and storms are starting to make progress towards us. And so it's 8:15. I still think by, before we reach 9 o'clock, that some of these storms will be in our very far western counties and along the plateau starting to come in. But it is going to be a little later than 9 o'clock for like the middle part of, including Chattanooga. It looks to me like it'd be more like 10 o'clock or so, right around our Fox News. So we're going to see, we'll be deciding how much weather is going to be involved in the 10 and 11 o'clock news tonight, because we may take a good bit of time for weather because we're probably going to be right in the middle of some of the thunderstorms. I don't like taking up all the time, obviously. That's not my intention. But we just have to make a judgment on that. Obviously, if there's severe thunderstorm warnings going on, at that time, we would probably take a good bit of the news time at 10 and 11. Which is a mixed blessing for the newsroom because they've worked all day on getting their newscasts together, and then the weatherman takes up all the time. And so that isn't always, but they totally get it, and they totally understand. Some of the warnings have come off the board here, so we're left with just fewer now, so that's nice to see. And you see just a couple of the polygons on the board now, one farther back in the Mississippi. So, you see that happening and you think, well, maybe it is weakening a little bit. But my feeling is that as we get a little farther east, as the line goes a little farther east, we will see some more warnings come out. So here that is. Here's one of the warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, and that's in effect. The location is west of Huntsville, and then up west, well west of Franklin County right now, but it's along I-65, so still a little ways away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just stop the motion here for a moment so we can kind of just take a look. You might see within this, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. I want to show you some of the things that are interesting to me. You know what I'm noticing is that unless I've turned it off somehow, which I don't think I have, no I haven't, not near as much cloud to cloud and cloud to ground lightning showing up. Now there is some, but it is not as extensive as it was. I always find that to be a good sign. I'm just looking to see, and yeah, there's definitely been some decrease, but still within the storms that are in the warning, the lightning is still very intense. So even though overall it might have it's not quite as numerous, the lightning strikes, lightning bolts, lightning traveling between the clouds, maybe not quite as much, but still within the storms that are strongest, we still have plenty of intense lightning there. I see you're talking more about the white Christmas, or let's get some snow in here. Let's come off of this just for a minute. Maybe we could talk a little bit about an extended forecast here I'll have to find it, but this is one way of that we look for extended outlooks, like for a couple of weeks even. So in 14 days, that would be the 23rd. In 16 days, I think it's a 16-day outlook. That would take us right to Christmas. But let me see what I can find here, if it's in this list. I know I have one in particular, but I like what they call the American model, which takes us out a little bit farther. It is not, don't get me wrong, it isn't the kind of thing that you can really just completely rely on, but it does tend to give us some trending. Well, I know I got it in here somewhere. Got a lot of the European model. We can look at that. That takes us out pretty far too, but not quite as far out. So, do we not have that? That seems kind of odd to me. So I'm just kind of looking for that. Anyway, we'll look at the European model here. This will be a regional look. So we can kind of, this is starting Monday, and we can push along pretty quickly here because we're not going to be seeing any wintry precip this week. Let's see, we're into the 14th. And as we get to next weekend, I saw there was some rain in the forecast, and there it must be for Saturday. See there? So it looks like Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening, some rain. And then we can push along here to the 18th. We're going to run out of data here pretty quick. So that would be it. This takes us just to the 18th. So it's not quite as long a forecast, but I'm going to continue to, if you don't mind. I'm going to look still a little bit longer here, as I do have that other model that takes us a little farther out and might take us closer to Christmas. Well, it would, if I could find it. Let's see here. I'm looking at all my menus here. That's not it. Maybe this. This, I'm not sure how this is going to be labeled. This may not be the right one either, but you can discard this weekend weather labeling here. But this is for tonight, tomorrow morning. And you see how this modeling has a little more of a chance of some wintry precip before it ends, but that's late in the afternoon and not lasting too long. But it's interesting to see that. Now, we'll continue to move along and see how far out we go on this one. It's a long time. Here's next weekend. Looks a little rainy. I'm moving this pretty quick, I know. And that's about it. So it doesn't, this one doesn't take me out quite as far as I was promising you. This just takes us till the following Tuesday. You're just kind of sharing with me. This is how I do things. I just kind of search and look and then proceed. I have a lot of names for these things, for these different models. just don't see really. I just can't find what I'm looking for, you know. Wow, that's an old map. Well, that's about. I can't find it right now, but I'll be continuing. I'll look for it. Let me get back into something you can see here. Something that after that little bit of diversion, we're going to go back into what's happening now. So it doesn't look like too much new on the maps here. Still just got the 2 warnings. Let's see when those warnings expire. This one expiring until just about 4 minutes from now. And then we have another one also. So these both end at the same time at the bottom of the hour. Now, it could be that they'll extend that warning. Let's take a look and see how the storms are looking that are creating that, the warning for that. And let's see here. Let's get in a little closer. It's still pretty intense. Still got heavy rain, that's for sure. I'm looking at the lightning data. No, it's definitely got some lightning with it, that's for sure. I would say that in a few minutes we'll probably see another warning extended eastward from this, farther into Tennessee here and also Alabama. And then we're getting closer and closer to the plateau. Always here this evening we have seen little periods of showers and storms. See how these showers and storms develop? These are not just light rain showers now. This is, something that you have to watch for coming up that corridor in Alabama and then going into northwest Georgia and Tennessee. Some of these can create warnings and even a quick spin up of a tornado. They cannot be ignored. And so really that was my main reason for coming on as early as I did, because I knew the line was not going to be here for a little while, but I started to see these developing and didn't want to get I just didn't want to get surprised or have you be surprised by that. So again, you'll see it out ahead of that line. So no warnings for those storms. And in just a couple minutes here, we'll see what happens once these warnings are off the board. It's very hard to tell sometimes how these storms are going to react once they get into our area. They may get into the plateau, weaken some, and then they get into the valley and they get past Chattanooga sometimes, and then they redevelop into stronger storms again. And so you can't really rely on, okay, I see it's gradually weakening, that should continue right on through the period and we don't have any troubles. That isn't the way it works. Sometimes you just, some of the terrain has something to do with that. And also it just is one of those things that you get into different parts of the, eastward, and it may be able to catch a little more instability. And we are in that slight risk for all of us now for severe thunderstorms, which is level 2. And this time of year, that's pretty heavy duty. It's something not to ignore. And we're just about, about 40 seconds, 20 seconds before these warnings come off the board. And then we'll see if they issue any more to replace them. It's interesting that they haven't issued a warning by now. And just as I say that, now we have a tornado warning here that's just popped up southeast east of Nashville. And there went those other two warnings. They're now off the board, off the map. So now, just as that happens, we have this. And that's a tornado warning for southern Rutherford County and north central Bedford County in middle Tennessee. And that's in effect until, well, let's see. It looks like it's in effect until 8:45. Is that right? 8:45 Eastern Time. Let me just check the timing on this. This has been out for a little time. This has been out. This was issued. I must just not have seen it, but it was issued at 18 minutes after the hour. So about 12 minutes ago. And it's in effect for another 15 minutes. Sorry, I missed that. It was just kind of getting covered up by the radar echoes. If I got in a little closer, you could see it. But there, it's getting right in the middle of the most intense part of that rain. And so they are going to, in the next 15 minutes, experience the heaviest rain from that warning, and hopefully no tornadoes. Let me read you that. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 11 miles southwest of Murfreesboro or near Rover, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So this is not even a radar indicated tornado. This is a severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. So that's, there's little differences, and sometimes it's just, the wording's just a little different, and you have to kind of take advantage of reading it over a few times to understand why the warning was issued, I guess is what I'm trying to say. No other warnings just yet for that area that just had that expire. So we'll be waiting another 13 minutes to see if that tornado warning will just drop, or if it will be extended eastward or northeastward. Does not look to affect our area in any way. That particular cell anyway. It's a very thin line. It's running from southwest to northeast, taking its time getting eastward. And, that's just kind of how this works sometimes. We just have to kind of wait it out. I've been saying in Chattanooga that, at first I thought it would be maybe about 9 to 9:30, something like that. But the way it's just moving kind of slowly to the east, the main line may be 10 o'clock or so. And but we still have these other storms that have been developing, like I was telling you about, it's moving through Jackson County, and some of them have some intense rain with them. And so it would not be impossible let me show you. I'll point them out to you. It wouldn't be impossible that a warning could come out of even these storms, which kind of is different looking than this larger area, obviously. These will merge eventually, is my feeling. Doesn't mean that they're going to become stronger. It just means that it'll catch up with it. I say that with great confidence. I guess it's possible that it may not, but it looks like it's kind of getting, closing in together. Rain is spreading out a little farther to the east. And we still got the tornado warning up there. That probably will not be lifted early. Got another 10 minutes to go on that. Justin. I see some folks are experiencing quite a bit of anxiety. I'm not hoping that I'm not adding to that. That is not my intention by any means. I mean, for me, and my well-being and watching what's going to be coming through where I'm at, I'm not that anxious about it in this case. That doesn't mean I'm not anxious about severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings and things like that in some cases. I'm just feeling, that this is going to be, as it has been here more recently, more of a general thunderstorm period that comes through. But we just have to watch how it continues to develop as it moves eastward, because it still could change as far as its intensities are concerned. I find it interesting that after those last two thunderstorm warnings were lifted, and one in Alabama and one to the north of that in Tennessee, that Huntsville has not issued any other warnings. You know what? I can look and see what the latest from Storm Prediction Center is. Let me see what they are discussing. That looks like the same one. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this. There's nothing really new. So yeah, that's old. So the last, what we call mesoscale discussion, still had the possibility of a tornado watch issuance maybe needed a little farther east of where the last one ended. But that particular discussion was at an hour ago, and they have not chosen to extend the watch. Again, I want to point out, we're not just looking at the main line of thunderstorms, but there's a secondary line that's out ahead of the main line that is creating some. I'm sure you're hearing some thunder in Jackson County. More than likely, we will in Marion County shortly, and in Franklin County, as though these storms, which is again not attached to the main line of storms, it's kind of a separate area, continues to move into parts of our viewing area. And then there's the main line out there. So whether or not we get a warning out of some of these, that'll be an interesting part of this problem that we're having, I guess you could call it, or at least the tracking of all this. Still got that tornado warning that's in effect until 45 minutes after the hour to the southeast of Nashville. It's kind of hard to see the red polygon. It's right along 24 near Murfreesboro. That's where the warning is. So this is the polygon I'm speaking of. And I was just noticing that we're getting hit pretty hard, although it looks like that cell has weakened some as it's been moving through, which may be why we're not seeing that extended eastward just yet. They're going to have to decide whether they want to do that here pretty soon, as it expires in just about 4 minutes. But again, that is not in our viewing area, but it does tell me a little bit about if these storms are increasing in intensity or decreasing. I'm seeing more lightning in some of these storms again after a little decrease, and looks like we've seen some increase. I'll show you where I think really one of the main areas that has shown me some intensity, and that is this area here, just to the west of Fayetteville. And actually, there was indications from the Storm Prediction Center that they were thinking that this particular area with this cluster of storms, I'm thinking, is the one that had the best chance of producing a tornado. Not very far, like only just past Fayetteville and back into where it is now. And it kind of jives because I'm seeing quite a bit of lightning in there. So we'll see what happens with that if they decide perhaps they are needing a warning there. And let's just watch this warning right here and see what happens once this one expires, which is going to be in just a couple of minutes, 2.5 minutes. The reason I'm doing that countdown for you isn't because it has any bearing necessarily on our weather, but it does in a way, because I like to see, once they have issued a tornado warning or even a severe thunderstorm warning, when they expire, are they pushing it farther eastward, which means that it's still a dangerous storm, still one that is considered severe in one way or another. If they just let it drop and don't issue a warning after it drops, then it kind of tells me that some of those storms are weakening. Lightning is intense right through here. This is what we were just looking at. No warnings have been issued for that, but it's getting closer to Franklin County. But that actually, the way the movement of that is, it's northeast. It may just miss Franklin County to the west, but there is some more of that out here farther to the southwest. So you see we have really some of these storms back in Mississippi. Still could be something that even affects us. We have the showers and storms out ahead of the main line that are kind of scattered right now. So we continue to just kind of see how this is going to bear out. I should probably check my phone and see if I'm missing anything. From friends and followers. Mm-hmm. All right, so of course we were watching that one particular tornado warning. It has expired. Just expired about 20 seconds ago. No additional tornado warning has been issued. Getting pretty close to the plateau now. Some of the light rain even, as far as this main line is concerned. And then, it's going to be after 9 o'clock before some of the stronger storms get to the plateau now. It may be even, 9:30. So a little more delayed than I thought. Chattanooga still on tap, I would say now. I said still, but really I'm thinking more 10:30 to midnight, somewhere in there, as far as it's being active in Chattanooga, for instance. And then it'll be a little later for areas to the east, obviously. Like in Murphy, which is our westernmost, it could be after midnight before you start to see some of that. If it even hangs together that, up and through there. So far, I must say, after being pretty strong and severe in Middle Tennessee, as it has been moving to the east and southeast, it has behaved itself a little better without the numerous warnings we were seeing. I mean, they were lined up from the northeast to the southwest, all along that line, and that has certainly stopped. I mean, there's no warnings out there right now. I gotta say that my feeling is, this is just my own feeling, and as soon as I say it, it'll change. But my thought is that we may not see that tornado watch moved any farther east. Maybe a severe thunderstorm watch. But again, it would seem to me if they were going to do that for like Chattanooga, Knoxville, and I would think that they would have put it out by now to give some heads up. They may be holding off on that. Thanks for joining us on Facebook tonight. Do appreciate that. And hoping that yeah, it looks like that there's a watch coming out, perhaps for the areas east of the last watch. So we're waiting for that to pop up on the screen, and I can show it to you. Here's, let's see here. Do we have that up? It still hasn't populated onto my map yet. Appreciate you guys telling me you got your alerts. I'm glad that you're getting alerts, and that it was for North Georgia, that there was a, let me just see what it, that may definitely have that tornado watch. You see what's happening is that it's populating here slowly as the different offices put in their counties. So that will continue to fill in. Interesting. How that worked. I'm looking at the web page of the Storm Prediction Center. They still have not, have they? I don't think that they have put that watch on the map yet. I see there's a tornado warning that just came out. Okay, so here are the weather watches. Yeah, and so we're under this, we're now, all of us, it looks like, in a tornado watch. And that is going to be until 3 a.m. Eastern time. You see here, it's starting to fill in the counties. And pretty soon you'll see the Alabama counties of Jackson and DeKalb filled in, and also for most of the Tennessee counties in our viewing area that have not filled in yet will be very shortly. So there's how that looks. But again, just stand by a moment, because the offices of the Weather Service, the individual offices now, are taking the coordinates and they're putting their little messages together in order to put out the watches for each of the offices. And so Morristown will soon be putting up the yellow. It'll come up as yellow in the Tennessee counties, and in Huntsville will be, here comes the Tennessee counties. And then we're going to have some down in Alabama, the two that are not filled in just yet, but they will be. So there it is, just like a jigsaw puzzle almost. Now, I do want to mention, let's mention this. This is not something to be taken lightly. We have a tornado warning in an interesting configuration. That's for Bedford and Coffee County. And that's in effect till 15 minutes after the hour. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 5 miles northwest of Lynchburg, moving east at 40 miles per hour. So you see, this is kind of, maybe they're thinking these are some spin-up tornadoes, just ones that, you know, come up and go right back down, or right back up. And it's kind of difficult to know exactly, you know, how many of those warnings are going to be coming out, because they're just basically radar influenced. Odd configuration, huh? And I think that must be because of the way this was issued out of Nashville. So Nashville does not issue warnings for Franklin County or for like Grundy County. Well, they do for Grundy County, but not Franklin. Franklin is Huntsville's responsibility. So they make these little curvy polygons to keep them within the county lines. That's why it looks that way. And now the Alabama counties are filling in. And then we'll have all of our counties filled in for this watch. And there it is. So that's in effect till 3 a.m. As we were saying, Actually, North Carolina did not get put in there. I'm noticing the way that it was configured, it did keep them out of the watch. But it's close enough, friends. It's close enough. But we were talking about like the farthest east area, Cherokee County, would be one that would be around 2 or 3 in the morning before it finally got through there. Now, by 2 or 3 in the morning, the storms are going to have moved out of, say, the plateau and the valley locations where Chattanooga is, and it'll be moving on out. But that's the way they put it. I thought it was a little late coming out, but I think it was smart to put that in there. And still time to get ready and prepared for whatever, whatever comes along. Good news is we're not seeing too many warnings. We just had that one tornado warning, which is an interesting highlight of the last few minutes. Not a good highlight, but it is part of the main line of storms that has been creating all the warnings out to the west of us. Still got these storms that are traveling to the northeast as well, through Jackson County, now getting into Marion County, and even parts of Hamilton County. That's a little more widely scattered. But I'm just saying that I don't want us to, us meaning me, I don't want to become not concerned about this, because these seem to be increasing in intensity, and there could be a warning come out of those. Remember, we'll be on Fox at 10 o'clock. And depending on what the weather's doing at that time, if we're just having if we're having severe thunderstorm warnings, we'll probably go forward with our normal newscast, maybe have a little more weather than normal. If we're in any tornado warnings, the entire newscast and beyond until the tornado warnings would be over with, we'll take up all the news time there. And the same goes for on News Channel 9 at 11. But even after the 11 o'clock newscast, if we're going to be right with you and on Facebook, if nothing else, and be watchful of the possibility of any thunderstorms that would be severe or a tornado warning. And if we have tornado warnings, we'll be back on the air on the television station. It's a question I'm not sure I have the answer to, whether or not. I'm pretty sure that would still be streaming on Facebook too. There are some answers I just don't have. Where you see that red polygon, kind of not quite in the middle of the screen, but a little bit north of middle and in the middle. That's a tornado warning. That's in effect, I believe, for 15 more minutes. Let's take a look. Oh, here it is. Yeah, 15 more minutes. And I'm seeing that the cell that they are concerned about with the considerable lightning is going through that area right now. So we'll be able to tell when they are free of the danger of any possibility of a tornado or even a severe thunderstorm. They're likely in at least the category of a severe thunderstorm, which is like 60-mile-per-hour winds possible. I've kept the watch up there. That's what you see in the yellow. All that are tornado watches. That includes 2 watches. One that expires at midnight Eastern and one that expires at 3 a.m. Eastern. So this will be on the map here for a little while longer. Now, it's possible that we'll see some of the watch taken down as the line moves eastward before midnight. It's always just a little complexity as to how that, they'll drop it early once the line has passed. And I would suspect we'd see some of that here. But there still are some storms within the watch area, even in middle Tennessee and back into Mississippi. And Alabama. I'm going to center up Chattanooga here and just kind of broaden our look. And I'm just kind of here to take it all in with you. I'm just looking at our viewing area, and some of those scattered storms you may be able to see that are moving through, like parts of Alabama and into Tennessee. We continue to see that. Not really advancing too much into anymore. Why, thank you. I am not at this point.
Just making.
Yeah. We'll just have to decide a little before.
Okay.
We were just talking about whether the news, I was just talking to them about that the 10 o'clock news, 11 o'clock news could be a little more weather if there's a tornado warning. Really, it's a matter of whether there's tornado warnings or not.
And right now we're just in a watch, so.
Yeah, and we're in a watch. So, and no severe thunderstorm warnings at this point. But we still got a little time.
Okay.
Jacqueline Davis here. Thank you, Jacqueline.
You're welcome.
It's nice to see you. Big support I get from the newsroom. They come out and make sure that that they have it right, that I have it right, and that's very important. And I appreciate that very much for them. So, it's just one of these things that, well, the next thing I'm waiting on is this tornado warning. I want to see what happens after that time frame ends. If we're still in that cell, and if we're not, which is only 10 minutes from now, they may extend the time of that warning. Now I see something else. What is that going to be? I guess that's just the watch coming up. Not sure why they're flashing the watch again. I thought they'd already filled that in, but I'm pretty sure they had. They might have had an update. Let's see if we can find out what that was about. No, it was just kind of another outline of where the tornado watch is. You can see it. There's many counties involved there. That's the one that's in effect until 2 a.m. Central, 3 a.m. Eastern, which also includes the Tennessee counties in our viewing area and the Georgia counties. I am not by any means trying to play this down. I mean, we had tornado watches, for goodness sake, and that, is not anything to fool around with. So just because we're not seeing widespread warnings at this point, whether it be severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings, that doesn't mean that we are in the clear by any means. I'm thinking maybe we've just had a new tornado warning. Remember, we were saying that one was going to be expiring in about 10 minutes. Let's see what this has for us. This was issued at 5 minutes past the hour, so just now. Coffee County in Middle Tennessee and southeastern Bedford County. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Normandy or 9 miles west of Manchester, moving east at 40 miles per hour. Now that's in effect until 9:30, so that's in effect for about the next 25 minutes. But they had to extend that because the cell was not through the warned counties. So that one will come off and then the latest one will stay on. And what I'm talking about, that might have sounded a little weird, but what I'm saying, there's two warnings in here. One that was originally issued for this particular area, and then another one that they've made a new outline of. But the first one will likely stay in effect until its expiration at 15 after. And then the second one is also taking up some of that same area, and that will be in effect for a little while. Have no fear, that's just a phone alarm of mine to remind me of what's going on. Lexi Hovath is not in town, but she's following the Facebook live stream. Thank you, Lexi. I'm still here with you, just kind of waiting for the next time frame that is of interest, and that is 15 after, when that tornado warning. You can see it's right on our edge here. If it gets pushed any farther east, we may need to be going on the air at News Channel 9. So if the folks in the back are listening, that might be something that might be needing to do because of this one cell. All right. Talking to the director, and he's ready if need be. It would be, one of these things that might be Grundy County, it might be Van Buren. Now, if it's Grundy County, we'll likely go on and update folks on that. I don't like interrupting programming if I can at all help it. That's what is kind of nice about the Facebook, although, you're not going to be able to grab as many viewers at one time, but still is nice to be able to communicate with you in one form or another. And let's see here. Still got, I was just looking at the count. We have over 670 people that are joined us right now. And I see another flashing area. They're updating something about that watch there. It could have been that they hadn't filled that in either. Now, here's the thing that I want to just remind you of. That last tornado warning was issued by Nashville, okay? So we have had really 2 warnings. I'm going to double check this just so I'm not giving you the wrong information. So both of those tornado warnings were issued by Nashville. Yeah. What's that?
Are you wanting to go on air?
I'm watching one tornado warning that's west of us. If it goes into Grundy County, we might go on the air live.
Okay.
If we have any tornado warnings at 10 o'clock, we'll probably just do weather.
The 10s were cold.
Okay. We'll work through it.
Yeah.
And the same goes for the 11.
I just don't know what you wanted to do for the 10 since.
Yeah. I think at 10, it's going to be, we're planning on just doing as normal.
Okay.
And it's about all we can do right now.
Yeah, because I don't see a point.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll be with you here in a little bit. We'll see what it's looking like. Thank you. Folks, of course, have to plan for newscasts, and if I'm tracking weather, then they, really, they have to be able to know what the heck they are going to need to do, and so they come back and ask, which is really nice of them to keep me updated on what they're thinking. So while you're waiting here till a couple minutes, one of those warnings from Nashville for Bedford and Coffee County for southwestern Coffee, southwestern Bedford, that will expire, but it will be replaced in part by the other warning that they have issued. If I said that that was issued by Huntsville, I was mistaken. They were both issued by Nashville. But that is why they still have kind of an odd configuration to the polygon. They're not responsible for issuing tornado warnings for, like, Franklin County. We have a few isolated storms still, and now, it's filling in a little bit. This is the kind of thing that we just can't let get past us here, that we have a second, this second area of showers and storms that's out ahead of the main line. It has continued to develop. I'll stop this, and here it is. And there's some heavy rain with that, and there would not surprise me if we see some warnings issued with that. In fact, that might have had as much to do with the tornado watch being issued for North Georgia and Tennessee as the main line to the west. So that is something that is very, very important. And I will say again that this is pretty common. This is common ahead of strong lines of storms like this. And my man David Glenn, he is the one that taught me that. And I really appreciate it because after he showed me how that happens, it's happened just about every time we've had a strong line of storms. Now, also what happens sometimes and can happen is when you have, and I had said maybe these two would merge together. I don't see that happening at this point. But what can happen is the energy can be transferred a bit to this line ahead of what was the main line of storms, and the one that's to the west weakens. Okay, we are done with one of those tornado warnings that was up that we've been kind of tracking. Let's see what that's looking like now. Not easy to see. I'll light it up for you. This warning is just for Coffee County. Just Coffee County, that's it. And if we look at it without the text up there and everything, we'll get rid of that. You can see even the coloration when you see this area in white here almost. That's another level. Sometimes it includes the hail. So that is a concern moving through Coffee County right now, through Manchester. And again, that will come. Let's just see how that's moving. And the way that it's moving looks like it may just barely miss Grundy County. At least the center of that cell. McMinnville may be in line though. Bliss Zekman's hometown. Bliss says it just always happens. She's a great forecaster of weather of McMinnville. So here we have it, friends. It's still pretty active. Just when it slows down a little bit, then it picks up again, and different areas start to be affected by different periods of showers and storms. So we still got a long way to wait here. Now, along the plateau, it's just now starting to touch that, but plus we have the secondary line that's ahead of the main line. It's also affecting the plateau at this point. And so we're at 918. And so now we are going to be waiting to see when areas like Chattanooga, Cleveland, Athens, Dalton, in Chattanooga, I still think by 10 o'clock we'll be getting into the, middle of some of these storms. I'm going to read you a news story here that I just saw come through here about weather. And this, let me see who attributed it. This is from ABC. At least 6 people were killed Saturday after severe tornadoes touched down in parts of Tennessee. 3 people were killed and 23 were injured Saturday following a tornado in Montgomery County, Tennessee. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office said. Officials said that it was 2 adults and 1 child who were killed by that. 3 people were also killed due to the tornadoes in Nashville. Nashville's emergency operations confirmed. And so that is some very difficult news to read to you. The city of Clarksville Mayor Joe Pitts offered his sympathies over the tragedy. This is a sad day for our community. This is from the Montgomery County Mayor, Wes Golden. He says, quote, "This is a sad day for our community. We are praying for those who are injured, lost loved ones, and lost their homes. The community pulls together like no other, and we will be here until the end." Ooh, that's... I just saw that come across, and that stopped my heart a little bit. I'm going to go in the newsroom, and so I maybe, if you could let folks know that if they don't hear anything from me for a couple of minutes, that is why. I'm trying to let me see here. That was a difficult story, friends. All right, so now it looks like we have what appears to be a severe thunderstorm warning for a part of Grundy County. They stopped short of issuing a tornado warning, it looks like. Let me read it to you, though. Severe thunderstorm warning for central Coffee County, southern Warren, and northern Grundy until 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. Still the same storm. Severe thunderstorm was located over Manchester, moving east at 45. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail are the hazard with that. It's radar indicated. Could be some hail damage with that. Remember, we were mentioning that the coloration on the radar here sometimes can indicate, was showing me that that could be some hail there. Ooh. Well, let me, I want to be sure that the newsroom saw this because I just saw it cross the wires. So give me just a moment here. And I may turn my microphone off just briefly here. Or if the folks in the back wanted to just cut my mic for a moment while I go in the newsroom, that would be okay too. But if people start commenting, can't hear you or whatever, that's because I have my mic off. So we'll just wait and see here for a minute. I'm double checking on this story, but it is on the ABC website. And again, I'll mention it to you that 6 people in Middle and Tennessee, and also well, Middle Tennessee, in Montgomery County. There was some video of a tornado near Nashville, and I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it or not, but it was not a pretty sight. So I'm going to turn my mic off just for a moment here so I can tell folks in the newsroom. So please help me out by if anybody is wondering where Bill went, I'm just going to be off the audio here just for a moment. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, back with you here. We were just discussing, since we got that news about the fatalities in Middle Tennessee, and it's kind of complicated because, you know, we do news on Fox, and then we're going to be doing, you know, the Fox News. And then we have the News Channel 9 news comes up at 11 or before. And if we have tornado warnings, we normally would be on the air with that. And so now it comes into a problem of if we have tornado warnings at that point during the Fox News, how are we going to handle that? But I have a funny feeling it's going to be handled the best way we can. So, let's see. Sorry about having to leave, but I just had to be sure of the plan. But I didn't want to just yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for updating me. Let me see. Let me read this. Shana Davis, you are an angel, says, few things make me happier than seeing a tornado warning downgrade to a severe thunderstorm warning. And I'm thinking you're talking about what you see on the screen here. Or either they drop the tornado warning. I don't remember what time that was supposed to expire, but the point is, we're now in a severe thunderstorm warning and not a tornado warning, I think. Yeah. So let me read that to you. Let's see what the latest is on this. This was issued at 9/21. That may still be the original one, though. It looks like it is. So maybe that other one just had an expiration time. I'm sorry, I don't remember all of that. I could take a quick look, but whew, I'll tell you what, that was difficult news to get. Let me once again repeat this to you. But that's the business we're in. At least 6 people died Saturday after severe tornadoes touched down in parts of Tennessee, officials said. And this is from ABC News. 3 people died and 23 injured Saturday following a tornado in Montgomery County, Tennessee. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office said. Officials said that it was 2 adults and 1 child who died. 3 people also died due to tornadoes in Nashville. And that was confirmed by Nashville's emergency operations. So that is the story that we, as much as we know about it. It goes on to say multiple long-track tornadoes were reported in northwest Tennessee Saturday afternoon as the twister threat in the region continues into the evening. And that was earlier, and that's what they were talking about. In Clarksville, damage has been extensive in Clarksville, located about 48 miles northwest of Nashville, after a tornado hit Saturday afternoon. And so that is part of it too. Hold on just a moment, please. Yeah.
If we have to stop after the B block and stop the recording and go live, then that's what we will have to do. Tony said he's fine with that. We just have to give them a heads up. So we just have to continuously communicate depending on what's going on.
So we would be live on both?
Maybe.
Well, we wouldn't be. Well, yeah, we might be. See, he has to realize that we would be going on ABC and Fox.
I was saying after the 10 is officially done, if we don't, and if we have to, then he said that's fine with going live on ABC. They don't care about interrupting the basketball game.
Right.
It's if we have to in the middle of the recording, we just have to get to a certain point, which I think he said B, maybe C block.
Oh, I understand why.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, that sounds fine. Okay. We'll work with that.
Okay.
we don't want to be callous about the basketball game. Believe me. And you know, the chances are probably pretty good that we won't. Well, I'm not even going to get into it. The thing about it is that we have to be sure that we get the information out there, and perhaps we won't have to worry about what you're hearing, this, you know, this locker room talk here almost. But the point is, we have two newscasts, one that starts at 10 to 10:30, one that goes from 11 to 11:30, and if there's a tornado warning in that 10 to 10:30 slot, then we have an issue with conflicting programs. It's a little complicated. I'm hoping that we just won't have to worry about that, but you know, hoping is one thing and reality is another. But obviously, you know, this line of storms coming through was part of the history that has happened in northwest Tennessee, in Clarksville, and also in the Nashville area and in Montgomery County. I was going to look up something here for you. Just give me a second. So let's see here. Okay, so Montgomery County is Clarksville. I wasn't sure if it was or not. I was trying to figure out if this was, you know, the same storm that moved through when they were talking about Clarksville and talking about Montgomery County. I wanted to double check to see if it was the same. So it would seem to me that, you know, they were talking about it happening this afternoon, and then, but we've also had apparently fatalities in Nashville is what I'm getting out of all this. In Clarksville, a tornado touched down in the area of Hand Estates. Now, this was a little different report. And I'm just looking again to make sure I have indicated this correctly. So Montgomery, but 3 people also died due to the tornadoes in Nashville. So there's 2 reports. I think in Montgomery County, the Clarksville was earlier today, like during the day, during the afternoon, while the Nashville was tonight, is what I don't have all that confirmed, but that's the way it looks. Right now we just have one warning, a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until 10 o'clock, so shortly. So what we're going to do here is we're going to, in about 10 minutes or so, we're going to have to take the feed down from Facebook in the next 5 to 10 minutes probably, because we have to get ready for this newscast at 10. And it may be delayed actually, so it may not be on right at 10 o'clock because there is some programming on there on Fox that it may run long. But then we will, after we're finished with that, we'll come back and get back on Facebook here until we have to go on at 11. So that's kind of where we're scheduling at this point. Again, no other warnings being issued right now. I happy to hear that or happy to see that right now. That doesn't, and as we've seen, sometimes it looks like it's calming down, and then again, it looks like then it not so much. You'll walk through the camera, but that's okay. It's all right. It's all right. And I did the same thing. It just happens. Yes.
Do you want me to keep the live going while we do the 10?
I think we'll be able to cut it, and then we'll come back to it if we need to.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, sounds fine. Yeah, you can just go around to the right here or go behind there. Either way. But if you're going back there, be careful because it's dangerous back there. All right, so yeah. Okay. We need to cut, you can cut that